Welcome to Bridal Owner Success Stories. I'm your host, Mindi Linscombe, founder of Bridal Owner Success School, also known as BOSS. Each episode of this podcast, we will dive deep into hearing the stories of successful bridal shop owners, uncovering their biggest challenges and their valuable life lessons. I can't wait for you to get to know them as well. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Mindi Linscombe, your host of the BOSS podcast, which stands for Bridal Owner Success Stories. And we like to interview bridal shop owners from around the globe to hear how they got into business and what has been some of the most joyous and also challenging times as an entrepreneur. So today I'd like to welcome Abby into the studio. Hi, Abby.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, if you could tell us your name, your store name, and where you're located, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so my name is Abby Janiszewski, and I own two bridal shops in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I own Strike Bridal Bar. That was the first store that I opened, and we cater to all sizes. And then just a couple years ago, I opened Rare Bridal Bar, which is our sister store, which is exclusively mid and plus size.
Okay, very cool. So, I guess I'd like to go back because you seem like a very young owner. And I'm like, hey, sometimes people start their businesses later in life, earlier in life. Do you mind if I ask how old you were when you decided to become an entrepreneur?
When I decided, I would say I was probably like 15. When I actually did it, I was 27.
Got it. And when you were beginning at 27 years old, I imagine you didn't have a ton of capital to invest in your company to get it started. So a lot of people ask me, hey, Mindi, like, how do I even begin if I don't have the capital to start? So would you mind sharing about that? Like, how were you able to start a business? And some people just borrowed money from family. I mean, you can hear lots of stories, but how did it start for you?
Yeah, so I worked with a small local organization called Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Company. So they specifically give small business loans to women-owned businesses. So that's kind of the route that I took from the beginning. I did invest what little money I did have into the business as well, but it took about a year for me to go through all of the application process, come up with a business plan, really show them that I knew what I was doing, knew what I was talking about for them to give me that loan.
Okay. And then how long, can I ask you how long it took you to pay off?
Yes, this is probably one of my proudest business answers, actually, is that it took me under a year to pay off a 10-year business loan. So I'm extremely
Wow.
proud of that. I am just a person who I hate knowing that I owe someone money. I hate knowing that there's loans out there. So I really took everything that we were making in that first year and just put it right back into the business by paying off that loan, getting rid of all that interest, and just being completely run through the money that we're making through the business.
Yeah, I'm curious. In that year, a lot of times people don't realize how much sacrifice has to be made in order to
Mhm.
pay off loans and things like that to get started. What kind of personal sacrifices did you have to make that year to live very minimally in order to pay that off so quickly?
Yeah, one thing within the business is that I was still running most things completely on my own.
So you
In the
had
first,
low payroll expenses.
yeah, so in the first year, I did have one full-time stylist working for me. So she was definitely helping out so we could just take more appointments, but I
Okay.
was doing all of the marketing, all of the behind the scenes of the ordering, the receiving, social media, answering emails, calls, everything was pretty much me from the
You
beginning.
were like a
So
one-woman show.
yes, so I just was trying to keep expenses as low as possible. Everything was very lean. Everything that I was buying for the store were things that I was buying as inexpensively as possible, or things that I was making myself or doing myself to try to really keep our costs down.
Yeah, so here's a curiosity point I have is like, were there other things like, we lived with my in-laws for a little bit just to cut
Mhm.
down expenses. We've very much like gone down to one car. Like I'm talking about 20 years ago when we were trying to really make it. We did very creative things. Was there anything else like that you really had to sacrifice, or was it mostly just doing all the lifting?
I would say doing all the lifting. I did also the first, I would say 6 months, I had not left my full-time job yet either. So while I was running the day-to-day in the store 5 days a week, I was also still working another full-time job outside, just to be able to maintain my own life because I wasn't quite paying myself yet in the business.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you take appointments on like nights and weekends?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So how many years ago was that?
It'll be 6 years now.
6 years.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they say after 5 years that you kind of made it over one of the major humps
Mhm.
in
Yep.
business ownership. So I was gonna say, when you look back over the last 6 years and you think about this was great because, and it was a surprise, maybe in a way, I'd love to hear what was great because I think there's a lot of ignorance in the beginning processes of
Mhm.
opening and running and being an entrepreneur. And sometimes there's some really beautiful surprises that we weren't anticipating. But
Mhm.
then also, I'm going to ask you, to be fair, what was something that was a negative surprise that you were like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to
Yeah.
happen or to feel? So, I just like to say, like, when you look back over the years, it's kind of enlightening and relatable for other owners to
Mhm.
hear.
Yeah. So positive things, I think one of the first times that I really felt like, oh my God, this store is successful, I made it, was we were just about a year in and we were doing our first big sample sale. And I had a couple people on the team now, a couple part-time weekend people. And we had this huge sale. I think we ended up with like a 85% closing ratio. We had dozens of brides show up, almost everyone bought. It was just such a successful weekend. And it was the first time that I really felt like, wow, this is truly like a successful business. I made it. I have this team that they're doing such a great job. And I just remember feeling like such a sense of accomplishment that, okay, we made it. We're really doing it. Um, so I mean, I think there have been a lot of moments like that over the years, but that's probably one of the first times it really hit me that, wow, I did it. I opened the store, it's successful and it's going well. As far as negative surprises, we opened 6 years ago, which means we opened in November of 2019. So we opened just a couple months before pandemic hit. So that was obviously a surprise that no one saw coming. I spent years thinking about this business, putting plans together, writing a business plan, getting the loan, finding the location, all of it. And then after being open for only about 3 months, having to close down for two was quite the surprise. Obviously, everything ended up working out. It honestly almost came off as a blessing for us because that gave me 2 months to really just market and spend time advertising and showing off our dresses and getting people excited to come in once we opened again. But that was probably the biggest struggle right out the gate, not expecting that to all of a
Yeah, that's a
sudden.
crazy time to be new.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know what I
yes, it
mean?
was. Uh-huh.
That's like, I don't know, opening in, well, to not be too far crazy different, I opened in January of 2008 when the market crashed.
Yeah.
But again, ignorance does sometimes help you move forward because I didn't know any different. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is a challenging economy. Oh, well, people still need wedding dresses. And so
Yeah.
I continued to persevere and sold wedding dresses even in a tough economy. So then when the economy got better, it was just like gangbusters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it is kind of cool to be like, hey, if I start out of the gate with a economic or societal challenge that I have no control over,
Mhm.
then if I can overcome that, then I can continue, so that's a
Yeah.
cool win. So
Exactly.
I love that you have some different hobbies outside of work. And I think that that kind of helps people prevent burnout
Yeah.
in this industry. And I'm just kind of curious to, what's your life like outside of work? And over the years, how have you kind of aimed to move towards balance or
Mhm.
towards having some sort of other healthy habits in your life so that when you come in, you aren't like, okay, this is getting old or whatever it might be. So, yeah, tell me some of the things that you do outside of work
Yeah.
and any stories that you might be able to pull from to encourage other bridal shop owners to get a hobby, to do
Yeah.
something outside of work?
Yeah, I think this was definitely a struggle for me at the beginning. I think now I'm finally to the point where I have a really great team. I know that I can kind of take a little bit more of a step away and know that the stores are taken care of and that everything is good, even if I'm not here constantly, which is great. So day to day, I definitely try to spend more time with just family and friends. I think a big outlet for me recently has been running, is something that I think mentally and physically it's good to just get out and move, and it helps me just try to clear my head a little bit, try not to think too much about work and just kind of enjoy what I'm doing. And then traveling is another big one. I try to do at least one trip a year just to take a little break, get outside of the store, do a little exploring, see something different, and then come back feeling really refreshed and like ready to get back at it.
What's been some of your amazing trips that you've taken and where are you headed next?
Yeah, so this past spring, I went to Singapore and Bali for 2 weeks. So that was a really, really great trip. It was hot, but and a long flight. It was about an 18-hour direct flight. So I
Yeah,
don't know
when
if
you
I'd be
told me that, I was like, I don't think I will ever do that.
yeah, I don't know if I would go back, but we had a really great time. I went with my sister and brother-in-law and my partner, and we had so much fun. Just so many cool things to see. It's just such two completely different cities from here. So we really enjoyed that. And then the next big trip, we are planning to go to Italy. Hopefully next fall is kind of the tentative plan at this point. So I always like to do one big kind of travel abroad every year just to get out and do some adventuring.
And it seems like sometimes when you do get that far away, you really are unaccessible. I hate
Yes.
to say that, but I like to do staycations sometimes
Mhm.
for myself to get work done. Like I've gone to a hotel for 2 nights to like get work done
Yeah.
and just knock out a whole bunch of things for my coaching business and then come back. And I'm just like, me and my computer, we're just having the best
Mhm.
time. But sometimes I feel like if I'm just in my neighborhood, it's still very accessible. So
Yeah.
I love that you go so far because I think you probably do unplug. Do you unplug on
Yeah.
a long flight over?
Yeah, I really do, which is great because I feel like for the longest time it was really hard for me to do that. But now I know that the team that I have here is incredible and they're handling things. And if something does come up, it's something that they'll handle until I get back. But yeah, even with just with the time difference, it's like at the end of the day when I'm getting ready for bed, I would open up my laptop and just check, okay, this is what they did today. Okay, great. The end.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
nothing I
Yeah.
really had to
And
do or check
yeah,
on or
I feel like
anything.
so many things too. Abby can probably wait till we get back. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? A lot of times I think we misprioritize urgency. We
Yeah.
were just talking about it this week actually at a staff meeting. We were talking about uh management of what's a priority and what's not that urgent so that you can do the most important things first. And one of our longtime bridal people on our team was just really talking about how we have to keep training our people to manage what's more important in the moment because sometimes they'll step out of an appointment to go handle something that's urgent, but it's not really something that had to happen that hour. And then that's not really fair to the bride they're serving. But at a bigger scale as owners, sometimes we'll just do the loudest problem first
Mhm.
and not the most urgent. And so I'm just thinking leave for 2 weeks is kind of like, okay, when you come back, they figured out how to handle the urgent things, but then wait for you on the most urgent things. And wow, it's amazing how everybody still survived. Like we survived.
Yeah, they've been incredible. I'm very lucky to have the team that I have, and I feel like every time I get back, I have a quick meeting with my manager. She runs me through everything that happened, and it's like, okay, here are the highlights. Everything's taken care of. Just wanted to loop you in on what happened, and it's very refreshing to come back and not immediately feel overwhelmed and kind of weighed down from the
The
beginning. So,
fires to put out. Yeah,
mhm.
fires to put
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Okay, so did we go to the not so great surprises? That was the COVID?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, great.
COVID was
I was gonna
definitely
say,
the
let's
big
just
one.
talk. Yeah, I was gonna say, let's just talk about entrepreneurship in general. Did you come from a family of entrepreneurs? Are you the first one? And when it comes to like learning to make a company profitable or do the thing and be your own boss, like I'm just thinking, was that a real culture shock for your family? Because a lot of bridal shop owners fell into this and they didn't necessarily come from a family full of business owners.
Yeah.
What's your family like?
Yeah, so I am the first business owner in my family, and it's kind of funny how it happened because I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. Even when I was a little kid, I would make up little businesses and I would try to sell things to my friends and family, and I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew I wanted to own my own business forever.
One day. Yeah, one
Um,
day.
and then when I was in high school, I started getting really interested in fashion, and I knew that I wanted to do something in fashion. So I started working at a bridal shop very part-time while I was in school, realized that I want to go to school for design. And once I started at a bridal shop, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Where did you go to school at?
I went to Oak Creek High School here in
I mean,
Milwaukee,
for
and then
design.
I went to Mount Mary University in Milwaukee.
Okay, cool. So nobody else is entrepreneurs.
Mm-mm.
Did your family think you were kind of crazy?
I think so. I mean, I have the most supportive family in the world. Like, it's honestly kind of insane how supportive they are. But I do think they thought I was a little crazy, that I was like, okay, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to put every dollar I have into this business that I made up out of nothing and hope that it goes well.
Yeah, I would say even my parents were kind of like, I come from a family of get a really good job with great
Hmm.
benefits. The
Hmm.
safe, it's more safe.
Yeah.
But I really think entrepreneurship is fun. And I know I'm weird and not everybody thinks that,
Yeah.
but I feel like the risk tolerance part is really, truly the bottom line of when somebody knows they're meant to be an entrepreneur. If they
Hmm.
can tolerate risk, which it sounds like you can, then it's like, oh, this is for me. But some people feel overwhelmed by that risk, and that's totally fine. They're great people to have on your team.
Yeah, I have the best people like that on my team. But yeah, for me, I just always knew, I'm like, I don't want to be working for someone else. I knew an office job was never going to be for me. I'm like, I want every day to be a little bit different. I want to be in control of my schedule and what I'm doing and being able to make those final decisions. I mean, even things like just going to market or picking things out for the store. I love bringing my team, I love including them, but it's also so nice to know at the end of the day, I can be like, okay, this is what I think is best. And I don't have to make my argument to anyone or fight anyone on these decisions. It's nice to just feel confident in, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is what I want to do.
Yeah. When you think about our listeners, probably a lot of different bridal shop owners, what's one thing that you're like, hey, this would be like a great piece of advice that whether they're just a year into it or 20 years into it, like something that could be about your personal life, like keeping things balanced, relationships, friendships. It could be about anything that you've learned over the time. What would be a little nugget that is words of wisdom from Abby for a bridal shop owner?
I think maybe not necessarily even surrounding yourself, but having at least one or two solid people who are either in the same industry or even just other small business entrepreneurs to talk through the struggles. I think that was one thing when I started. I tried talking to my family and friends, and none of them are in the same space. So it was hard for them to understand the things that I was struggling with when I was talking about, oh, I have this insurance or tax situation going on, or oh, I have this situation with a bride or a vendor, and they're just like, I don't understand what's the issue. What are you talking about? So it was really nice early on to find a few other bridal shop owners and other small business owners in the area that just get it and they understand the struggles that we're going through, and just someone that you can talk to vent a little bit, get ideas from. It makes a huge difference to have like that support system.
Yeah, I was talking to someone else today about how friendships fill different needs in our lives.
Mhm.
And sometimes our friends that don't own a business, they are still so important. They fill a different cup in your
Mhm. Yep.
heart, right? They can be the person that you can laugh so hard with because you literally don't have to be a serious goal oriented person. You can just talk about what's going on in each other's lives. But then you definitely still need your business owner friends. And even if it's not in bridal, just people that own businesses and get the load, it's super important to have both because it is a load and you want to be able to process it with someone. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Mhm.
That's great
Yeah.
advice. So what you said your next big trip is Italy.
Hmm.
And
Hopefully.
I was just
I'm
gonna say,
booked, but yeah.
I was gonna say that's really exciting. My kids want to do an eating through Italy trip where
Oh, I
they
love
go, like where it's
that.
all where you go and you eat like the local cuisine and take a
Mhm.
cooking class. Is there a certain part of Italy you're trying to see?
Everywhere, honestly. That's why nothing is booked yet. I want to go to all the big cities and just trying to figure out what makes sense time-wise. I love that idea of eating your way through the trip, though. That's my kind of vacation. I want to go places and I want to like try. I'm such a foodie that I want to try all the
Really?
foods. I want to go to all the unique restaurants and places that are famous or have something fun to offer.
Yeah, well, I like hearing the story of just like, hey, you were young, you went for it, you didn't necessarily have the capital, you didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs, and it's a story of basically anybody can do a business if it's in their heart to do it, but it's hard work, huh?
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's a lot.
a lot of work.
Have you seen that Instagram post where it's like, I gave up my 9 to 5 so I can work from 3 to midnight or something, 3 a.m. to
That's
midnight?
exactly how I feel. Like I knew I never wanted to work for someone else for 8 hours a day. So instead I'm going to work for myself for 12 hours a day or
Or
whatever.
20
Yeah.
sometimes. Like yesterday and the day
Yeah.
before, I've had 13-hour days here at the store. I'm like, oh my goodness, because we've had events at night. And I'm just like, wow, okay, this is a real life of a bridal shop. It's not light lifting, I guess is what I
Yeah.
would say. It's like some people are like, oh my gosh, it's just so easy and so
Yeah.
fun. I'm like, no, it's actually long hours and you're
Yeah.
on your feet. And it's a lot to implement and put into place to be successful and profitable. But I think that's true of any entrepreneur. I have friends in other industries and they're like, we work just as hard, and to
Mhm.
stay up on everything that's happening with AI. And I mean, the industry is always changing. So
Mhm.
it's a very interesting, I would just say an interesting time to be a part of owning a business because there's the developments that are happening online are faster than we can keep up with.
Yeah.
And so I have to kind of stay focused myself and say, okay, who do I have in front of me today? How can we serve them today? We're going to work on the big picture thing, but we're not going to get lazy in the daily or overwhelmed by all the upcoming changes.
Mhm.
I don't know if you do you stay like do you read anything that you're like, I love to stay up to date, like a business journal or anything like that?
Not necessarily. I think it's more just seeing what other people are doing and not even necessarily in our industry, but just seeing what something that another industry is doing that you're like, oh, that's a great idea. How can I incorporate that into bridal? Or I think we focus a lot on like the social trends. Like it's definitely shown that a lot of our brides are coming to us from places like Instagram or TikTok, honestly, has been a huge source of brides for us. So trying to keep up on those trends of okay, what did they want to see that will get them excited to come in and visit us, or what pop culture things are going on that we can incorporate. And so it is trying to keep up on everything all at the same time.
I know, and that's where I feel a little old. I'm older than you because like I'm like, girls, you got to keep me up to date. I am definitely not up to date on those trends, but I'm gonna tell you I still value the up-to-date
Mhm.
information, even
Yeah.
if I'm not personally up to date. I will get to the answer. I will find it or I'll read about it because I do like to understand like what's happening economically in a global scale. There were a lot of implications this year with tariffs,
Mhm.
with different negotiations happening. And so I don't know, I enjoy stepping back and on a macroeconomics level, being like, hey, what's coming down the pipeline for us? Like, that's why I said I try to not get overwhelmed by all the big ideas
Yeah.
and stay focused in the daily. But probably quarterly, I do step back and zoom out and say, okay, what's the big thing happening right now? What can I do to impact that? And then zone back in and get it done for the next quarter. But so many things we could talk about, man. So many things. But I think you have an incredible inspirational story for people, especially young people, to think like it is possible to start a business or to work through a business and not necessarily have formal business education. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have an MBA. You
Mhm.
didn't come from a family that's just like, hey, start a business with
Yeah.
all this money. You really overcame some obstacles in order to have 6 years of business. And so, thank you for sharing that today.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I wish that there would have been more resources like this when I was starting my business. And I feel like it is something that is growing with just education and what people are sharing with their own stories. But I love to be able to share that with other potentially upcoming business owners because it is something I'm extremely proud of and that I was able to build this from nothing just because I've been wanting to do it for years. So it is very exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So, where, if people want to follow you or your website and your store handles, what would you say? Where should they go?
Yeah, so we're on all the platforms, and our handle is at Strike Bridal Bar and at Rare Bridal Bar. So I would say that we're most active probably on TikTok and Instagram, and then our websites are the same, just strikebridalbar.com and rarebridalbar.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Abby. I'm honored to get to hear a little bit more about your story, and I hope you guys have a really great wrap up to your month. We'll be in touch soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bridal Owner Success Stories. I hope you found some inspiration and encouragement for your own career in the bridal industry. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. We are in this together.